الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن سار على سبيله إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So continuing where we left off, inshallah ta'ala, in talking about Kitab al-Tahara, matters related to purification. We are on Bab al-Aniya. And al-Aniya, meaning utensils. And he mentions first and foremost, جميع الأواني مباحة. It says الآنية جمع إناء. Also you have another plural, أوان, والإناء الوعاء. It's a vessel that's used to store food or water. يجوز اتخاذ الأواني من جلد ما يؤكل لحمه إذا ذكي. نقل الإجماع على ذلك ابن حزم وابن جزي. As for when it comes to utensils, you can take utensils or things to store food from and drink from the skins of meat that is eaten, of animals that are eaten as long as they've been tanned, they've gone through the process of purification. Now, it's not that which is haram to eat, so they've also been slaughtered. All of the utensils, جميع الأواني مباحة, they are permitted. إلا ما حرمه الشرع, except for that which has been made unlawful by way of the Sharia, and that is الآنية من الذهب والفضة. Any utensils that are made from gold or silver. So this is even spoon, cutlery, and utensils. We cannot use gold nor silver. إمام النووي رحمه الله قال أجمع المسلمون على تحريم الأكل والشرب في إناء الذهب وإناء الفضة على الرجل وعلى المرأة، ولم يخالف في ذلك أحد من العلماء إلا ما حكاه أصحابنا العراقيين أن للشافعي قولا قديما أنه يكره ولا يحرم. He mentions the Muslims have consensus the impermissibility of eating and drinking from utensils of gold and silver upon man and women. No one opposed this except for what has been narrated from the scholars of Iraq, that Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah had an old opinion that he later changed, that he had an old opinion that was disliked and not haram. Also the things as mentioned, وَمَا فِيهِ شَيْءٌ مِّنْهُمَا. Not only is it impermissible to use utensils from gold and silver, but also that which is made from part of it. So it's partially gold, partially silver. إِلَّا الْيَسِيرُ مِنَ الْفِضَّةِ لِلْحَاجَةِ, except for that which has a small amount of silver for a need. لِقَوْلِهِ صلى الله عليه وسلم لا تشربوا في آنية الذهب ولا تأكلوا في صحافها فإنها لهم في الدنيا ولكم في الآخرة. وهذا الحديث متفق عليه. It mentions here that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said, do not drink from utensils of gold and silver, nor should you eat from them. For indeed it is for them in the worldly life and for you in the hereafter. هذا يكون جزاء للمؤمنين في الآخرة. This will be a reward for the believers, that they will have utensils of gold and silver in the hereafter. And these are the things that a person is tested with. For example, many people will use the likes of these things not because they want to, but to be an impressionist. For other people to see that they have utensils of gold and silver as a means of boasting of wealth. As for the Muslim, la. The Muslim sacrifices desires for the sake of who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when your love for Allah is greater than your love for your desire, that's when you're able to make those sacrifices, those decisions that need to be made. If you find your love for your desires greater than your love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that it becomes conflicting. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from this. You know what I mean? Also, of the principles that we learn in usul al-fiqh, النهي يفيد التحريم. Whenever you have a prohibition to do something, most cases it shows that something is unlawful, prohibited. So لا تشربوا, this is a prohibition. It's not just a negation. So this prohibition allows us to understand from this hadith that it's impermissible to eat and drink from gold and silver. Not that it's disliked. Al-asl fil-nahy at-tahrim. The asl regarding the prohibition is that it shows that something is haram. Now, also here is clearly mentioned لا تشربوا ولا تأكلوا. So a person will say it's only impermissible to drink, but as for eating it's okay. لا. Al-Mubtasim قال لا تشربوا ولا تأكلوا. So the ruling is for both eating and drinking. Also, you have the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam في البخاري ومسلم الذي يشرب في إناء الفضة إنما يجرجر في بطنه نار جهنم. As for the one who drinks from silver utensils, then that person has consumed within his stomach fire from Jahannam. فاستعمالهما في الأكل والشرب كبيرة من كبائر الذنوب. This shows that eating and drinking from this is from the major sins. Eating and drinking from gold and silver utensils is from the major sins. Also, the thing that's mentioned, things to do with color of gold and silver. If it's painted gold or silver, is permissible to be used? It's permissible. We're not talking about plated, we're talking about painted. So if it's painted in that color, but it's not actually gold or silver, then it's permissible. There's no problem in that. If it's just paint. That's why you find sometimes a person looks like they've got a gold watch, but it's just paint, it's not gold. Ta'ban. But yeah, there's no issue with it. No. Also, of things that are permitted, silver. Like a man can have a silver ring, kind of thing. A pen from silver. But as for that which is used for eating and drinking, consuming, la. This is not permissible to be used. Some also may argue the fact of storing things in silver or gold, because the hadith mentions la ta'kulu wa la tashrabu. So it's, as for storage, it's not eating or drinking. Well, ahwat al-ibti'ad, and the safest option is to stay away from it, regardless. Also, of things that is mentioned, utensils that are made from bones. هل يجوز and they're talking about, for example, bones of people. Allah المستعان. لا يجوز استعمال عظم الآدمي ولو كان كافرا. هذا باتفاق المذاهب الفقهية الأربع. It's not permissible to use the bones of any person, even if they're kafir. That's by consensus of the four madhahib. Also, when it comes to utensils taken from bones of animals that are permissible to be eaten, then they mention يجوز اتخاذ الآنية من مأكول اللحم المذكى. It's permissible to take the bones of an animal that is sacrificed, that's permissible to be eaten, and use it for a utensil. Now, and there are many things that are mentioned, but primarily the issue at hand is matters related to gold and silver. And the general principle is, when it said, the first thing it mentions, جميع الأواني مباحة إلا الذهب والفضة. All of the utensils are permissible to be used except for gold and silver. So when we have matters that are worldly matters, the asl is al-ibaha حتى يرد الدليل على تحريمه. The asl is that it's permissible unless evidence comes to show otherwise. So all vessels, all utensils, they're permissible to be used until now we make exceptions based upon what? Desire? Evidence. So we're only able to say gold and silver utensils are haram because there's evidence for it. Had there not been any evidence, then you couldn't make it what? Prohibited. And this is a matter that once we understand it, things become easy. If it's not acts of worship, it's worldly matters, the asl is that it's permissible until evidence comes to show otherwise. And that also shows the ease of the religion. Can you imagine if you had to affirm everything in your life? What's the ruling of that sock? Trousers? Shirt? Toothbrush? Curtains? Carpet? Bed? Anything that comes to mind, think about it. You're going to have to ask what's the ruling. You wouldn't be able to move. 1 step, 2 steps. Halal, haram. But did Allah do this to you? Alhamdulillah. This is the beauty of Islam. Islam is easy. Wallah, Islam is easy. Islam only becomes difficult when we lack knowledge. Because we make the easy things difficult because we don't know about the concession. We don't know about the ease that Allah facilitated. The next topic that is mentioned, and this also shows the mahasin, beauty and the merits of Islam. Islam doesn't leave anything except it's spoken about it. Bab al-istinja wa adabi qada al-had. Matters related to cleaning oneself after relieving oneself. And the manners of how you should be when you do so. Manners of the Muslim when relieving themselves. We're not animals. We don't just go and relieve ourselves under any given tree that we see in any corner and the likes. There are principles. There are principles. From the mustahabbu إذا دخل الخلاء أن يقدم رجله اليسرى. The first of them is that when a person enters the place of relieving himself, al-khala is the empty space where you relieve yourself. That's the asl of the toilet, the khala. You go far away from the people in a distant place and relieve yourself. As for now, we have specific places that have been built, toilets and the likes. A person goes to leave themselves. But again, they're away from the people. They're not just, unless they're the filthy people, you know, that nowadays they build on the street ones where people go clubbing and stuff. Wallahu musta'an. It's disgusting. Filthy. These places you enter with your left foot. Why? هذا يعني يقدم اليمنى في أماكن محترمة. You go with your right foot in places that are respected. As for places that are detested, you don't enter your left foot. The toilet on your left foot. ويقول بسم الله. Although that is not based on the authentic evidence. Some say the hadith is hasan, some say it's daif. But I mentioned in the hadith, سطر أو ستر ما بين أعين الجن وعورات بني آدم إذا دخل أحدهم الخلاء أن يقول بسم الله. The barrier between the eyes of the jinn and the private areas of mankind when they enter the toilet is them saying Bismillah. Now you have to say Bismillah prior to entering the toilet. Prior to entering, not inside. Prior to entering the toilet. Then they say, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-khubthi wal-khaba'ith. Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from the khubthi wal-khaba'ith, from the names of the jinn, of the evil, the foul jinn, the dwellers of, the places of relieving oneself. And the ruling of this is that it's mustahab. It's recommended to say that. Laysa wajiban. But the mentality of the Muslim says, oh, it's not wajib, so I don't do it. La. The person does it because it's sunnah. This is what the Prophet Muhammad would have done. هذا في الحديث عند البخاري ومسلم عن أنس بن مالك كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دخل الخلاء قال اللهم إني أعوذ بك من الخبث والخبائث. So he mentions this within the hadith in both Bukhari and Muslim. Like, this is what the Prophet would say, just the supplication that he would say when entering the toilet. And I mentioned al-khubthu huwa jam'u al-khabith wal-khaba'ith jam'u al-khabitha. It's the plural of khabith, and khabitha means the male and the female of the shayateen. The male and the female of the shayateen. This is what a person is taking refuge from in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إذا خرج منه, when they leave the toilet, what do? يقدم اليمنى. They start with the right foot to leave. So when you enter the masjid, place that you enter with your right foot, you leave with your left foot, you leave. But when it comes to places that are not respected, that are detested, then you enter with your left, you leave with your right. And I say, قال غفرانك. غفرانك وهو حديث حسن. قالت كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا خرج من الخلاء قال غفرانك. The Prophet exit the place of relieving himself, he would say غفرانك. Now, also the things I mentioned, but is ضعيف. الحمد لله الذي أذهب عني الأذى وعافاني. هذا ليس من حديث صحيح. This is da'if, so we don't say it's recommended to be said. Sometimes the person asks, if it's da'if, why is it mentioned in the book? Sometimes matters that are da'if are mentioned either because some differ on fada'il al-a'mal, if it's permissible to use da'if hadith or not. Difference of opinion when it comes to matters of adhkar and the likes. But also some, when they mention da'if hadith, min bab al-intibah, is to teach people that's also da'if, to make it known that it's also da'if. But in the checking of the book itself, it mentioned the hadith is not authentic, so we don't say it's recommended to be said, the likes of that supplication. ويعتمد في جلوسه على رجله اليسرى وينصب اليمنى. Well, nowadays we don't have the toilets in the floor. Most places have this European toilet. That's what makes people stay in the toilet too long. The toilet in the floor is better. You don't want to be there for long. It's in and out. No queues. Allah understand. Well, a person should lean on their left when there's a certain way of going to the toilet. Now, and be more upright on their right side. وَيَسْتَتِرُوا بِحَائِطٍ أَوْ غَيْرِهِ. And they seek like to conceal themselves with a wall or something. You don't relieve yourself in the sight of people. This is fun. ليس من مكارم الأخلاق. It's not from lofty mannerism. هذا من فعل البهائم. It's from the ways of the animals. Look at a dog, for example. A dog every 10 steps urinates. Marcus territory. It's not for mankind to behave that way, no. You hide, you conceal yourself from the people. Even cats, they conceal themselves. They don't just go about their business anyway. As for dogs, no shame. Allah musta'an. وَيَبْعُدُ إِنْ كَانَ فِي الْفَضَاءِ. If they're in an open space, like let's say we're in a desert or something, go far. Or open field, go far from the sight of the people. At times when the Prophet ﷺ would relieve himself, Hudayfa bin Yaman would stand his back to him to conceal him. To make sure he's free from the sight of people. That's why there was the issue of, is it permissible to urinate standing or not? And Aisha Anha, she mentioned, whoever said that the Prophet ﷺ urinated standing lied. But Hudayfa ibn al-Yaman, he narrated a hadith that the Prophet Muhammad urinated while standing. Because he was the one who was standing behind him to conceal him. And from this that we learn another principle. In matters where you have someone negating and someone affirming, who do we give precedence to? The affirmation. Why? They have more knowledge. Someone comes and says, have you seen Muhammad? Zayd says no. Mustafa says yes. Or let's say more so, is Muhammad here? Zayd says no. Mustafa says yes. Who do we believe? Mustafa. Because for Mustafa to say yes, that means he's seen Muhammad here. As for Zayd, according to his personal knowledge, he has not seen Muhammad. Now, so in matters like that, when you have affirmation and negation, you give precedence to the affirmation. لا يحل له أن يقضي حاجته فيه. It's not permissible for him to relieve himself in 4 places that we mentioned. 1, at-tariq, the pathway. Drunkards, they don't care about this stuff. Anywhere they go. Children, no children, they don't care. As for Muslims, you don't urinate in the pathway. You don't relieve yourself in the pathway, a place that people use. أو محل جلوس الناس, or a place where people sit. Place that people are known to sit, urinate those places. You don't relieve yourself in those places. أو تحت الأشجار المثمرة, nor the trees that bear fruits. Look at Islam. What other religion tells you that? Don't urinate on trees that bear fruits. Why? Because where does the tree irrigate from? The roots. No one wants wee-wee apple. Or poo pear. La. Nothing, nowhere there's a tree that has fruits. La, stay away from that. These are details, fine details from Islam. نعم. أو في محل يؤذي به الناس, or in a place that it will cause harm to the people. It will cause harm to the people. ولا يستقبل القبلة, nor does one face the direction of the Qibla. أو يستدبرها حال قضاء الحاجة, لقوله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا أتيتم الغائط فلا تستقبلوا القبلة بغائط ولا بول ولا تستدبروها ولكن شرقوا أو غربوا. متفق عليه. It mentions now don't now. So there was a place in Liverpool, and they had a whole estate, and they gave it to the Somali community. MashaAllah. Al-Izza lid-Deen. And they said that we can't live here because the toilet is facing the wrong direction. So, MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Ajib. Well, that was the stance that they took. But then obviously, if we look at the details, sometimes when we go back to the scholars, they'll give you clarity. Say, no, if it's in an enclosed place, then it's permissible. Now, Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. But these are all the things that are mentioned by people of knowledge. And also in matters of unsure, we go back to the people of knowledge. Because sometimes there's principles that govern situations. Govern situations where there is concessions. And knowing those concessions there when they're in the right and proper places, that comes with returning back to the people of knowledge. Also, the thing that's mentioned, إذا قضى حاجته استجمر بثلاثة أحجار ونحوها تنقي المحل. He would clean himself, Prophet ﷺ, with 3 stones, smooth stones, or that which is similar to it, to clean the area of relieving oneself. ثم استنجى بالماء. Then he would further wash with water. Then use water after this. Now, Islam teaches us cleanliness. When I was studying Arab history and culture in university, there was a discussion about the colonialism of Napoleon in Egypt. And when he went to Egypt and they say, oh, you people are backwards and the likes, how they try to oppress the people mentally to say, you need us to advance in life. One of the Egyptian scholars say, at least we clean ourselves when we go to the toilet. You say that we are people that are backwards, but we clean ourselves when we go to the toilet. Allah musta'an. If you look at the history of the kuffar in the West, dirty people. Dirty, I tell you. Shame on them. Thou shalt not disclose their filthy traits that they had before. But I'm talking literally. Toilet out the window, like that. Like you're walking. Got a dodge. It's horrible. And they have the audacity to talk about the Muslim. I remember a story, sometimes these stories are made up, Allah knows best, but it's true. The message is true. An air hostess complained to a man washing his feet in the toilet. He was making wudu. This is filthy, how can you put your foot there? For some reason people think feet are dirty, isn't it? Even if they're in socks, they still think feet are dirty. So he said, my foot is cleaner than your face. He said, how many times do you wash your face? He said, twice. He said, I wash my foot 5 times a day. My foot is cleaner than your face. المسلم يعني يتطهر. Why? إن الله يحب المتطهرين. Allah loves those who purify themselves. The Muslim is clean. The Muslim smells nice or does not smell bad. Some people don't like perfume. Some people they're not allowed to use it. Some people have allergies, but they don't smell bad. That's what the Muslim's not supposed to do. That's why we don't go to the masjid smelling bad. Muslim takes care of their cleanliness, their appearance, and the likes. And we learn this from one of the hadith that's the foundations of the religion. Hadith of Jibreel alayhi salam. The first part of the hadith speaks about his appearance before he came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Clean, well presented. Now, very important. You want to see how filthy people are? You go to a public toilet and watch them just walk out. They don't wash their hands, actually. Do you know how much people touch that handle? And in and out. And then their friend that's waiting outside, they go like, oh, that was a close one. Shake hands. You didn't wash the hand. This is disgusting. It's not the Muslim, la. They don't even clean themselves, let alone their hands, la. The Muslim always cleans themselves. Cleans their hand. Islam talks about impurity physically as well as spiritually. The person always cleansing themselves. It also mentions وَيَكْفِي الْاِقْتِصَارُ عَلَى أَحَدِهِمَا. it's also sufficient that a person restricts themselves to one of them, either just using water or stone or tissue, anything that takes that place. وَلَا يَسْتَجْمِرْ, they don't take objects to be used such as al-rawth. Al-rawth is dung, animal dung. وَالْعِظَام, bones. And al-'idham akl al-jinn, it's the food of the jinn. وَالْرَوْث لَا يُسْتَعْمَلْ كما نهى عنه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. The Prophet forbade this. Because at a time he asked someone to bring something for him, the stones, they brought 2 stones and dung. It looked like a stone. There wasn't a stone, he said he threw this, he said you can't use this. It's not to be used. So those things is not allowed to be used. وَكَذَلِكَ كُلُّ مَا لَهُ حُرْمَةٌ, and also everything that is sacred. Knowledge, books of knowledge, you can't use the paper. La. Sometimes you go to some Muslim countries, unfortunately, when they make peanuts on the street, roasted peanuts, and they give it to you in what looks like a newspaper sometimes. Many places use newspaper. Some places you're going to see, it's a book of knowledge. This is not correct. This shouldn't be used for stuff like this. Nor should be used to clean yourself. These things are respected. Now, but you can use scrap paper and the likes. That's for books of knowledge. La. It shouldn't be used for it. It's better you burn it than use it for that. Now, so Islam teaches all of these principles. And inshallah, next lesson, we will begin to discuss إزالة النجاسة والأشياء النجسة, ways of removing impurities and things that are impure within and of themselves بإذن الله تعالى. فأكتفي بهذا. اللهم صل وسلم على نبينا وحبيب محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. بارك الله فيكم. السلام عليكم. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا